Hi everyone, today I will talk about the problem 1 of the homework 3, which is called the LSTM cell, which is short for long short-term memory cell. First, I will give the essence of what is LSTM cell and how they work. Next, we will conduct the LSTM cell on a toy example. Okay, so first, what is LSTM cell? LSTM cell is a cell that has memory, and the input goes into the cell sequentially. So first, we initialize the memory C0 equals 0. Next, I will talk about the different parts of these cells, and the first part is called the input Z. Z goes into the cell and it will encounter the first gate. It's called the input gate. So what is input gate? Input gate is a gate which determines whether the input can go into the memory C. So how input gates works? The input gates have another input Zi, and it will passing through a function which is called a sigmoid function. It's 1 over 1 plus exponential minus Z, and the function looks like that. If the input of this sigmoid function is really big, just like 100, the sigmoid function will approach to 1. And if the inputs of the sigmoid function is really small, with like the minus 100, and the sigmoid function will be really small, just like it's approaching 0. So if the input of the input gate is really big, to 100, it will let the Z totally passing through into the memory C. In the other part, if the Zi is really small, like just minus 100, it will block the input into the memory. That is the first part. It's called the input gate. And the second part, if this input go into the input gate, it will meet the second part, which is called the forget gate. So what is forget gate? We have said that the cell have memory. So if this cell have the previous memory, just like in S3, the forget gate will determine that whether the previous memory will still valid, will still in this memory, or it will be cancelled out. Yes. So the forget gate is the same idea as the input gate. The input of the forget gate, called the ZF, will into a sigmoid function. So we have introduced the usage of sigmoid function. If ZF is really big, just like 100, and we will let the previous memory still in the memory in this time. In the other case, if the ZF forget gate, the input of the forget gate ZF is really small, we will flush all the previous data, previous memory C, and we just consider the current input Z into the memory. Okay, so this is the usage of forget gate whether the previous memory still exists. Okay, so the third part, we call it the output gate. The output gate determines that whether the memory can go out to the cell and let this cell be recorded. And the output gate is still the same idea as the input gate and forget gates. The input of the output gate DO will go into a sigmoid function, and if DO is really big, the sigmoid function will approach to 1, which means that the memory in cell will totally go out to this cell, and we can record the output Y equals the input, the memory C. In the other hand, if ZO is very small, just like minus 100, what will the case occurs is that we will block the memory out to the cell, so the y will equal 0. However, the memory still exists, the C still exists, and in this time, we let this output out to the cell, and the next Z will into the cell and continue repeating this procedure. So the input into the block, meeting the input gates and the forgot gates determine that whether previous memory exists, and output gate determines that whether the memory can go out to the outputs, and the next Z will go into the block. So this is the essence of the LSTM cell. Next, we will give a toy example. So first, the x equals a vector is called the 0013, and the input z is the first vector inner product with the input vector w is called 0010 plus a bias b. So we will see that the first input is called 1, and the same idea, the first input of the input gate is -5. So it means that we will block a major part of the input into the C, the memory C. So we will see that the first memory is really small, which is called the 0.0067, and it need to consider the forgot gate. ZF is called 120. It's a really big number, so the previous memory will still exist. So C1 is called 0.0767, and you will see that the input of the output gate is 170. This means that it's really big. So the output will be the value in the input gate. So it will be 0.067, and next the new input will go into input cell, which is -1, and you will see that the input of the input gate is 45, so the input can be totally go into the memory, and the forgot gate is 70, which means that the previous memory will still exist in this current memory. So the new memory is -1, but however, this time the input of the output gate is -230, so it will block totally the memory out to the output. So y2 is 0. Okay, but in this time, although the output gates block all the memory to the output, the memory still exists in the memory cell. And the same idea when t equals 3 in the third time stamps, we will see that we can conduct the same idea of the LSTM cell. The input is 3, and what this means? It means that input gate opens, the forgot gate open, which means that the previous memory still exists in this timestamp, and the output gate is blocked. So the output, sorry, this is not the Z4, it's called the Z3, and the Z3 is that this X3 is going to this, so this 500 and this Z3 is X3 inner product with WO plus DO is 570, which means it's a big number. So the output gate opens, we will see that the memory equals the output, so output is 3, and the next, this is 3, sorry for my fault, and when t equals 4, x4 equals d4 input is 0, and we can continue repeat the previous procedure and get the output at y4 is 0. So we will record the output in a 4 timestamp is 0.0067 y030. This is output of a memory cell, and the introduction of the LSTM cell is finished here. Thank you for your listening.